you hear me? Yes. Five seconds. Start counting. Four, one, three, one.
Good evening and welcome to the pilot episode of Sports Roundup on Agate TV, the brand that is built to present programs in a style that would appeal to you, the people out there. My name is Emmanuel Tyavyar, and on Sports Roundup today I have with me in the studio live one of Benue's best sports minds, Stanley Tyakumbu. Stanley, welcome to Agate TV this evening.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
We have a lot to deal with, and we just have about 30 minutes or so to deal with it. You can follow us, by the way, on YouTube as well. If you're watching on Facebook, you can follow us on YouTube at Agate TV. That's one word, AGATE TV. On Instagram and X is the same handle, AGATE TV. On Facebook, if you're following us on YouTube, it's Agate Radio/TV. Sports Roundup today. We are beginning with top headlines, Stanley, and it would interest you to know that one of the stories we are going to talk about today, Chelsea is leading spending on agents' fees as Premier League clubs pay out £409.5 million just to agents. Chelsea's agent and intermediary spending reached £75 million over 12 months to February of this year as Premier League clubs collectively spent over £409 million. With what Chelsea has spent just on agents alone, I mean, considering their fortunes, would you say that's money well spent?
I wouldn't say that's money well spent. If you look at the recruitment Chelsea has had over the past 12 months since the post-Abramovich era, since he left the club, their performances on the pitch have been a little bit mixed. They are not where the fans really want them to be. Chelsea all of a sudden is becoming a mid-table club, and most of the recruitments have been a little bit questionable, spending a lot of money. Caicedo, £113 million, he has not come into the fold to replace the agent Kante, who went to Saudi Arabia for the money. If you look at the goal scoring department, it's just this season Stoneboli. If you have interactions with most Chelsea fans, they're complaining about most of these signings. They have not hit the ground running. The last window Chelsea bought at one point bought more than they always picking players from other money from other teams who already scouted them. So it's no surprise that those figures are doing that. I think it's part of the revolution process. I think the spending of Chelsea on agents has surpassed the over £60 million Manchester City.
Manchester City second with £60 million.
That has surpassed the £60 million Manchester City has spent. So that's modern day football.
Astonishingly, the third on the list is Manchester United, £34 million, which is less than half of what Chelsea spent.
That's why it's very, very intriguing. City did that, bought a lot of quality players, and it worked for them. Now, I'm not surprised with Chelsea and Manchester United because, their performances have been dwindling over the past couple of seasons. So they are desperate, they are in a bit of a very desperate situation. That's not far from it because you have to pay those agents those lofty monies because they have to convince their players to sign for those clubs. It's a long-term project because right now, currently, I don't think any player who wants to take his career to the next level will really be looking at Chelsea. Of course, they can afford the wages, but on a footballing term, you will not be the players wouldn't really.
So you now have to overpay.
Yes, you have to. It's all about business. You have to sweeten the deal for the agents, make it worth their while, so that they can convince their players the players which they have under their ranks to sign for those clubs. So it's no surprise. A typical example is Mikhailo Mudryk, who was almost certain to Arsenal, and certainly, but then you could see interviews he had subsequently that he was forced to go to Chelsea. So that experience
and then comes the role of the
financial
agent.
That's where the role of the agent comes in place. So that explains why they pay those amounts of monies.
Well, Chelsea's spending
things.
under Todd Bowley has exceeded over £1 billion, including Moses Caicedo's potentially record-breaking £150 million deal. You remember that transfer was very funny. Arsenal, as a team, were almost on the verge of signing Moses Caicedo. Suddenly, it did not work out. Would you say that Caicedo has been a worthwhile signing for Chelsea?
Certainly not. If you look at the players Arsenal signed in his place. Now, Moses Caicedo, a young player, has his future ahead of himself. Of course, he can only get better. There's something in football. Football is a very unfair sport. The statistics are what people talk about. And especially when a club coughs out that amount of money for you, you expect
and
to hit
tangible
yes,
to talk about. There are stats that are not tangible.
Yes, you understand. You are expected to hit the ground running. And if you look at his stats at Chelsea, he has not done so well. He has lost a lot. He has lost some balls in the middle of the park that have actually led to goals which Chelsea has conceded. Chelsea paid that kind of money with the reputation that he was coming to replace. And you know, the players which you come to replace plays a very, very big role because there's always that direct comparison immediately when
that correlation.
Yes, there is no time for you to hit the ground running. There's no settling pace for you because of the money. As if you, of course, a little bit of slack has to be cut to the players because you did not ask for those kind of wages to be paid for you. Those clubs left out that money because of the necessity they felt they needed to come and do the job so urgently. So you don't have any settling time. So Moses Caicedo, according to his transfer fee, he has not lived up to the billing. The same thing with Enzo Fernandez. You know, players. We've seen what he did for smaller clubs. Enzo Fernandez with Benfica,
and in the World Cup,
and in the World Cup, you know, and then
the biggest stage.
In the biggest stage, and bear it in mind that this is Enzo Fernandez' first season in Europe playing for Benfica, and it's not an A-list European league. So I think as a football fan, I would give him some time. As a Chelsea fan, you wouldn't do that because the results have not been going your way. You don't want to be
consistent.
Yes, your results. The results are not going your way. You've spent a lot of money, 105. Then you spent 115 for Caicedo. Now, if you look in stock contracts, the Chelsea fans will be like, "Come on, Arsenal paid 105 million for Declan Rice. He's doing excellently well. Why is it that he didn't have a settling period? Caicedo played for a team with less pressure. Declan Rice came from West Ham. He was a captain. So why did he settle in so easy? So that's where the comparison comes in. But then, I think this is too early to in the worst. But then for now, if we are going to analyze it, yes, they have not lived up to the potential, their billing, the pre-signing hype that they brought to the club. But then these are young players, so it can only get better.
Liverpool, Arsenal, and Aston Villa spent over £20 million each, just £20 million, while Luton Town had the lowest spending on agents at just £2 million. Now, look at Liverpool, Arsenal, and Aston Villa all gunning for the top four. At least Liverpool and Arsenal are short of the top four. And I mean, Liverpool and Arsenal, Aston Villa would most likely end up in the top four or at least fifth or sixth.
Yes, they're still in
Europe. Yes, and they're still in the continental competition. Yes, then you have high spenders like Man U and Chelsea. Before we go to the next story, does money determine success in football?
To some extent, it determines, but then how you spend that money depends a lot. Let me give a case study of Manchester City. Pep Guardiola is one of the finest managers of his generation. He has a particular playing philosophy. He has a particular playing style. He has players who he knows can play the certain style of football he wants to play. He goes on and picks those players. It does not matter the amount of money. Majority of them has worked. That is why they call him a genius in football. Now, come back to Manchester City that we were talking about. Erling Haaland cost Manchester City just £51 million. That is a bargain by every standard. What he did was that it's identifying. Sometimes money doesn't necessarily get you instant success, but then you have to know what you want to buy. If you know what you want, and you know what you want to use for a particular system, you know that you have to find other suitors. It doesn't matter. You pay that money, get your man, and your system. Nobody cares about the money. Right now, I'm telling you, nobody talks about the £105 million Arsenal paid for Declan Rice.
Yes.
People talk about, how good can he get? How much he has improved the Arsenal team. Now, at that point in time, they were saying Declan Rice was so expensive. City pulled out.
Now
it looks like a steal. Like people are saying, 105 for a player who has his whole future ahead of him. He's adding goals into his game. That means Declan Rice and Arsenal met themselves halfway. It's a match made in heaven. Arsenal needed him. He's playing with world-class players now. The manager is there. Is helping him develop some other aspect of his game. He's now more of a box-to-box midfielder. Whereas in West Ham, he was more like a destroyer, a typical number 6. Now he's a number 6 who goes forward and scores goals. His goal and assist contributions are in double figures. He has scored, I think, over 6 goals and more than 5 assists. So it looks like a bargain. So money doesn't necessarily buy you success. But if you know what you want, you can just go against all odds, pay the money, and it develops your team instantly. Because you will see the same City we're talking about, Grealish. Manchester City paid £100 million for him, but then you wouldn't say necessarily that he has added anything extra to the team. You understand? He's more like a fringe player.
I feel Grealish was just Manchester City flexing. I feel they just didn't want someone else to have him. So sort of like you can't have him, we'll have him, to stop you from being strong.
Anyway, I don't think it's necessarily that. Manchester City, if you look at that window, they were all out for Harry Kane. They needed a marquee signing, which was recognized. Come on, Aguero has retired. Gabriel Jesus is not the one who can take us to the next level. We lost the Champions League to teams who had better centre forwards than us. We could do the same. There are games that a world-class centre forward will determine them because he doesn't have anything to do. Just poach the ball in the back of the net. He has that instincts. He has that killer instincts. But then, if you are not a striker, you are not always going to make those runs or find yourself in those places. City spent the whole of that window trying to get Harry Kane, which was the American. They paid £100 million. They offered £100 million, which Daniel Levy, the Tottenham and chairman, frustrated City so much. So City had that money, which was kept for a striker. Okay, come on. Our fans are going to be disgruntled. Yes. Let's just get a marquee signing. And the biggest thing that season, other than Harry Kane, was Jack Grealish. How he took Aston Villa. He came from the academy, the captain, the side, took them to where they are, survived relegation and all those kind of things. They just gave the £100 million. If you look, Jack Grealish is not something. Jack Grealish is not an upgrade on Bernardo Silva. Jack Grealish is not an upgrade on Ilkay Gundogan, who left Manchester City last season for Barcelona. You understand? But then they just had to spend that money, at least just to calm some nerves. And then the next season they went for their man and they got Erling Haaland.
Let's jump over to Olympics updates right now. In our top headlines, Eliud Kipchoge expects to win the 3rd Olympics Games marathon title. Why I would want us to talk about this story is in Nigeria, we seem to concentrate more on football than any other sport. And if you go to the Olympics taking place, by the way, from the 26th of July, well to August of this year in Paris, France, you discover that athletics, track and field offers more opportunities for medals. Football as a whole, you have male and female, 2 gold medals, 2 bronze, 2 silver, 2 bronze, and that's it. And besides that, Benue has a comparative advantage when it comes to long distance running. We have the hills, which are all people to Benue, Adipo, London. How do we help to promote other sports in our local environment?
The same sentiment with you. I talk about all those kind of things that we concentrate so much on football. Yes, football is a lucrative sport. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of opportunities in it. Same way applies. You could see even these perennial competitions where we have these biennial competitions, 2 years, 4 years, like the World Cup, or 4 years, like the Olympics. Our preparations, these events still take a lot of time. They still take us by surprise. You understand? Even these 4 years or 2 years. Now, talking about the field and track events, which presents a lot of medals.
Not to cut you short, but other countries are unveiling their kits for the Olympics. Don't be surprised that Nigeria gets the Olympics and we don't even have good kits.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was only.
And he said this when Kenya was unveiling their kits.
You understand? That's what I'm saying. So if you look at this kind of things,
16 weeks ahead.
We have, I don't know, the International Athletics Federation of Nigeria, there are things that they concentrate so much. Everybody, the sports ministry focuses so much on football. That is where, because globally accepted, the wide coverage it has. But then, if we go back to basics and all those kind of, we have willing athletes who are doing those things. But then, and the sponsorship of these athletes, it's even lesser than those of the national teams. If you look at the budget and the NFF presents to the sports ministry for the football teams, the great teams, the Super Eagles, the Green Eagles, Golden Eaglets, the Under-20, the Dream Team, Super Falcons, the Falconets, and all those kind of things. It's outrageous. It really got to a point where they had to separate. Of course, the NFF is part of a subsidiary of the sport ministry, but then they had to separate them to be independent. They run independent of the sport ministry. They present their own budget themselves. That is why sometimes it looks as if the NFF chairman is so powerful. Sometimes it has a lot of clashes with the sport minister, because that ministry, the highest budget of that ministry is the NFF. So you as a minister, a sport minister, if you are having problems with your NFF chairman, the ministry is going to suffer. Okay. Because 60% of the budget of the sport ministry is domiciled in the NFF. Is domiciled in the NFF because of the football tiers they have. So coming to athletics and all those things, these are opportunities where present themselves for a lot of medals, as you have rightfully said. It's high time. I said these things some time ago. We don't pay attention. We see the lack of preparation. The last IFF champions, our athletes were disqualified for doping. Nations are not paid. These people pay for their own trials. They pay for their own travels and all those things. What do they get from the federation? Nothing. But then this whole thing has to boil down to the sport ministry. It's the minister. You don't have to be doing things as usual. There are so many different there are different sports that encompass under that ministry. You are in charge of all these things. It's how you, because they said to whom much is given, much is expected. Yes. If you put a lot of look at the All African Games, they did well. They brought a lot of medals. Why can't we have a follow-up from that? Okay, these athletes that did so, okay, you push them here, you try to have a follow-up. Invest this kind of money, present this budget, try to defend. The reason why, okay, yes, the past Olympics, maybe we took like 30 athletes. Let's try to make it 100. We organize this. How many internal or how many indigenous athletic competitions do you hear of in Nigeria?
It's only football, like just few sports, table tennis.
They say sports festival. They do it at the state level. States just package and their athletes go there. Okay, let's defend our budget. Give athletes, we get money. We are taking them to sports festival. They do that. The champions from those various categories. What do the sport ministry do with them? That is where you have this. I think the whole essence of having these tournaments is to harness talents for the globe and for the national good of the country. This way, okay, you won Olympics at you won a gold in 100 meters, 50 meters dash at All Sports Festival held in Asaba. Okay, let's follow up. We have a follow up of you. How do you train? What do you do? What's your day job? Okay, your local sport ministry. Okay, Benue State. Okay, we have these athletes that came from you. What are you going to do? We're going to give a little budget for them. Okay, if it's twice or thrice a week, there should be training. At least stipends should be given to them. They can still do their job. There's something about athletics. It's a part-time job. But then what you have to do is that you have to keep yourself in shape. How do you do that? That's the monitoring. We have a step from here. If it's United, there's a track there. You have trained coaches who you pay them. At least give them an extra stipend. Not just relying on their salaries from the ministry. It starts from the sport ministry, bring it down to the state ministry. Yeah. Monitor this your athletes. Okay, in a week, pay them. If it's 20,000 when they come. For at the end of the week, pay them, monitor their paces. If they have injuries, physiotherapist should take them. You train them, you give them tips, diets on what to take. At least go for road walks, so that when you are being called upon to go into camp like 2 weeks, you don't put in so much work.
You are ready.
You are ready. You don't have to. You are a 5,000 meter athlete, and then at the end of three laps, that's 1,200 meters. You're already gasping for breath. No. So that means you have to put yourself, if it's not running the 5,000 meters every day, but at least you put yourself through the paces.
Before we look at the last top headline and move to other issues, just to remind you, dear viewer, this is Sports Roundup on Agate TV. Emmanuel Tyavyar is the host, that's me, and beside me is a good friend of ours, sports enthusiast and analyst, Stanley Chokumbu. What's the nexus between sports and youth empowerment?
You know, I think they go hand in hand. You know, youths are more inclined towards sports. You see them, how they're so animated and agitated when it comes to sports. The fanaticism they show when it goes to supporting their teams, be it basketball and NBA teams, or even the football teams, or tennis fans. Like, I have a lot of yes.
We are the Reds.
Yes, you understand. You know, there's all those kind of things. You see when their teams lose, they feel so bad and all those kind of things. You can tap in from there. Now, I don't think anybody who does sports does it only for the money. It has to boil down from passion.
Yes.
It boils down from passion. That is where we have to tap into that. Because you present a measure, this is something you love doing and you're going to get paid for it. This is something you love doing, you're going to get paid for it. It's just to model a particular way. At the end of the day, if the national teams, okay, be it the football teams or the athletics teams, the handball teams and all this, because I know Nigeria has a very good handball team. They have a very good basketball team, the Tigers and the Tigers. They do excellently well in even the continental.
Handball team won gold at the All African Games.
You understand?
Now we have one of our own from Boko.
Yes, yes. You know, so those are things that you know are passion. Those guys who are playing handball, somebody cannot just walk up and say, "I want to be a professional handball
was
player."
Discovered at J. Starker Stadium.
Yes, he used to play for even College of Education, Katsina, like all college games and all those kind of things. He's now a global star. You understand? So these are the kind of things. Now that boils down talking about Sesuyeti. That is passion. He loves playing handball, and the opportunity availed itself. That
and handball is not football.
It's not football.
Not
but
all of us are good at
football. It now availed itself that this is something. This is a sport you loved doing. Now you can still get paid for doing that. It's a win-win situation for everybody. If you just make a good working environment, make it lucrative for them. They are very good European. Like the handball league in Europe is something else.
Yes, it is.
Germany, Switzerland. Excellent.
There are a lot of sports that pay well.
Well, in Europe, that people, but then at this part of the world, it's all boils down to enlightenment. One, which is very key. From the grassroots level, you can tell people that, come on, you don't have to incline yourself and that your sport is a lesser one. People are doing excellently well in basketball. People are doing excellently well in handball, table tennis, lawn tennis, and all those kind of things. Like single sports pay a lot of money. Like lawn tennis, those guys, the Roger Federer who have retired, then Rafael Nadal, then Tsitsipas, them Novak Djokovic, the coming guys, them Daniel Medvedev. You know, these guys, these are young guys. How old? Daniel Medvedev, 25. Yannick Sinner, 19. These guys in dollars.
Yes.
What? Because of
when you win the tournament, only you.
The prize money. Now that's the prize money. You're not even talking about the endorsements because the latter the tournament goes.
The shoes you wear.
The latter.
The headbands,
the latter the tournament goes
down to even the towel.
That's what I'm saying. Drinks. And the drinks that you take, people say, okay, you're going to play tennis match, you're going to be taking Loco Z, you're going to be wearing Nike, Lotto, Adidas. They pay you for all those things. You become a global brand. And the sports and the tournament organizers, as the tournament goes towards the stages, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the prize money, the endorsement money is being shared according to the number of players that are remaining. So all these things accumulate to the prize money. You might end the tournament.
There are some tournaments that they even pay you more than the winning prize.
That is what
just to show up.
That is what I'm saying. You might get a player might reach the semi-final, you get knocked out in the quarterfinal, but you aim more than the person because of the brands which they are trying to project you. So it just goes back to enlightenment. We go back to the local level, tell people that every sport, if given the desired attention, you can excel.
Our time is speeding. I guess folks at home are enjoying what we're doing, but because of our time, we'll have to go on to other matters. NFF has named Garba Manu as the new Golden Eaglets coach. You know, he won our 4th edition in 2013. The team that had the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi and Kelechi Iheanacho. I guess the NFF is like, at first you don't succeed, try again. You know, so they're going back to someone they know.
It's better to go back. Of course, he has a history with the tournament. I think he's a great coach. He knows how to play with this. He knows how to play with young guys. This particular finished runners up at the African Championship in Morocco when they lost on penalties to Cote d'Ivoire. This is I would call it, I wouldn't say damage limitation or something, but then within the short period of time, you have to bring somebody who you trust, who has actually done the job before. So I think he's not new to these tournaments before. He's won it before in UAE in 2013. Of course, Kelechi Iheanacho, Isaac Promise, and Taiwo Awoniyi, and then Dele Alampaso, the wonderful goalkeeper thereabout. So yeah, this is working with somebody we know. So it's not going to be anything new. You stick with somebody you know. So I think the NFF just decided to have a quick fix here and see. And we just wish him all the best because if it's based on experience, he already has the experience. What greater experience do you need than winning a particular tournament? So
and not just winning, but players from that squad
who have actually excelled. He actually made the right crop and all those things. So those players are actually doing well in their various clubs. So I think it's a square peg in the.
Let's delve into a weekly recap on Sports Roundup. Quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League opened on Tuesday, and it was a Tuesday to remember as Arsenal drew 2-2 with Bayern Munich. Early goals in that fixture. Some people are of the opinion that Arsenal have been solid for some weeks, and let's say probably months, and that however the Champions League is for the senior boys.
Yeah, talking about the senior boys. When you talk about senior boys, the pedigree of the team. If you look at the Bayern team, relatively young players, Musiala, Joshua Kimmich, Alphonso Davies. So I think when you talk the Champions League, is for
Maybe
the
it's a
experience.
tradition of the
So
team.
it's a tradition of the team, the history of Bayern. Because if you look at the Bayern team, the experienced heads in the team, okay, Goretzka, Emmanuel Neuer, those are the teams. If not the rest, then Leroy Sané,
And
other
Müller.
than that, and Muller, which he didn't play, the legs are no longer there. Those kind of intensity matches, he can't play them. That's why Thomas Tuchel didn't even do, because he can't run the flanks. That's why when he took out Leroy Sané, he had to bring a younger person in, and in Coman. So it has to do with the tradition. The difference there is the history of the clubs. Bayern Munich has won the Champions League before. Arsenal hasn't won it. Arsenal is more like a project. And I think the naivety showed in the
When
fixture.
are they going to submit the project?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The naivety still showed in the. There are certain mistakes you don't do at that level. If you look at the beginning of that
So
match,
who do you think is going to go through?
2-2, I wouldn't give it to Bayern Munich.
There's no longer away goal.
Away goals, it doesn't count. You have to win your opponent outrightly. So that is why Arsenal still has a chance. Because if it was the 2 away goals, Arsenal has to score, have to outscore Bayern or better the result at the Emirates. But now they don't need to do that. If they play 2-2 in Allianz Arena, they go to extra time penalties. If they play 1-1, they still go. You have to be an outright winner. So that's why Arsenal still has a chance. That's why it's a very close one to call, because on a very good day, Arsenal has the best in the Premier League. They tend to do well when they play away than when they play home. So I think they still have a chance, and I think Arsenal.
The most exciting time around, Real Madrid versus Manchester City in the Bernabeu. Man City opened scoring, Madrid went ahead, Man City equalized, went ahead, and Madrid equalized. It looked like a night of goal of the season attempts by both sides.
Those are teams of almost equal strength. They are the last 2 winners. Manchester City won in 2023, Real Madrid won in 2022. That's how good those teams are. They can't get enough of themselves. It was like a boxing. It was like a boxing game. Who slugs first and all those kind of things. But then City avoided defeat at the Bernabeu. I think City will nick it at the City of Etihad, because I think they just have that clinical edge. Haaland will not be quiet as he was in Spain, in England.
Because of time, let's just read you the scores. Atletico Madrid 2, Borussia Dortmund 1, Paris Saint-Germain 2, Barcelona, who seem to be coming back to the Europa League quarterfinals, Bayer Leverkusen 4, West Ham 0, Benfica 2, Marseille 1, Liverpool 0, Atlanta 3, shock of the round.
Yes.
AC Milan 0, Roma 1. In the Europa Conference League, Olympiacos 3, and Fenerbahce, who have the flying fist of Nigeria 2, Victoria Pleasant 0, Fiorentina 0, Aston Villa 2, Lille 1, Club Brugge 1, PAOK Salonika 0. Upcoming fixtures: Newcastle United in EPL will face Tottenham Hotspur at 12:30 Nigerian time, Brentford versus Sheffield, Burnley versus Brighton and Hove Albion, Manchester City versus Tottenham, Nottingham Forest versus Wolves, and AFC Bournemouth versus Manchester United, all 3 p.m. Nigerian time. Because of our time, we'll be halting things here now. Thank you so much, Stanley, for being part of the show today.
Thank you so much.
And we hope to have you some other time when you're available.
Always a pleasure, no problem.
It's been fun being your host on the pilot episode of Sports Roundup. My name is Emmanuel Tyavyar. Bye.
Got it.
Is our mic off? I hope